Well, it's that time of the year again. It is time for my top 10 movies of 2021. As of this recording, I have seen 125 2021 movies, or at least movies that I consider 2021. I feel like I have a pretty complete list. I don't like to make these videos until I've seen everything that I think could be in my top 10 potentially. And I feel like I've done that. I've even seen stuff like Cyrano, which comes out like later this month, I guess, in January. My rule on these is if it's had a weak qualifying run in New York or LA for like the Academy Awards or whatever, then I will consider it a 2021 movie. So, for example, stuff like The Worst Person in the World, that counts as a 2021. As always, this is my list, okay? Don't let me stop you from loving or disliking any other movie. And my list is based off of personal enjoyment, because personal enjoyment matters, okay? And I say that ahead of time because, as one might assume, there's a movie in here that is going to be placed pretty freaking high, and it's based kind of off of that reason alone, which I'm sure you guys can already guess which one I'm talking about. I feel like my top 10 is pretty balanced, I feel like I have a good blend of some indie awards movies and some blockbusters here. So I could go on a rant about how, like cinephile film Twitter just bags on other top 10 lists for being too normie, or the other way around where a bunch of, big blockbuster comic book people start bagging on other people's top 10s for saying they've never heard of these movies and they're boring. I could make a whole video just on that. All I'll say is, it's their own fucking opinion. With that being said, let's get into my honorable mentions for 2021. So before I get into my honorable mentions, if you want to see the rest of my full, complete 2021 list ranked, you can go on Letterboxd. Link is in the description. Or, you can always follow me on Twitter to stay up to date. So there you go. All right, honorable mentions. I'm going to just go through these really quick. I'm not going to talk about it, really. Flea. Love Flea, that shit fire. The Suicide Squad, genuinely one of the better movies I've seen this year. The Dig on Netflix, it came out in like January. A lot of people are like, what is that movie? I really liked it. I don't know. The Green Knight, I thought it was fucking beautiful. Spencer, that shit fire. Red Rocket, very uncomfortable experience. That movie is definitely not for everybody, but I certainly liked it. Don't Look Up, listen, I thought it was entertaining and pretty funny, and why the fuck would I want a movie like that to be subtle with its messaging? The French Dispatch, as a non-Wes Anderson guy, I was very surprised at how much I liked The French Dispatch, so that one is there. And barely missing the cut for the top 10 is The Power of the Dog, which I think is a fantastic movie with maybe my favorite performance of the year with Benedict Cumberbatch, but I'd have to think about it. But that is my honorable mentions. So let's get into number 10. A Hero, directed by Asghar Farhadi. This is a movie that I just saw a few days ago. I was lucky enough to receive a screener for it, and I watched it. And honestly, and I say this in a kind of positive way, I kind of felt like shit after watching it. I don't want to give too much away, not that this is like a spoilery movie, but so I talked about this movie in my best international film video that I did. But basically the synopsis is a guy was in jail for not paying off a debt, and he gets a 2-day leave, and some good stuff happens on that leave that eventually leads to some bad stuff happening. And I guess that's all I'll say. This was one of the most frustrating and kind of stressful movies I've seen this year, and it does that for a reason. Just seeing this guy, he's both getting very unlucky and also kind of making some bad choices. Kind of. And but the thing that sucks about it is everything negative that comes throughout the movie is based off of somewhat him doing a good deed. And the way the story just unravels to me was excellent. It was excellent. I thought the performances were great. Obviously, I love the script. I love the direction. This is one of my favorite movies of 2021, obviously, which is why it's on the list. So A Hero slides in at number 10, just barely edging out some of the others. Let's go to number 9. Come On, directed by Mike Mills, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Woody Norman, Gabby Hoffman. This movie is a fucking warm blanket. I actually tweeted this when I saw it back in New York at the New York Film Festival. I don't know how this movie manages to feel so real, but it does, and it's perfect. To me, this is absolutely one of the best screenplays of the year, the way it goes into the interviews with the kids, and obviously just straight up with Joaquin Phoenix and Woody Norman, that whole dynamic. I found it just, like charming, but also just very, very sweet and like real. You know what I'm saying? Fuck. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is obviously great. I think everyone knows this. Woody fucking Norman, that's the child actor. He is fantastic. He would like actually be worthy of an Oscar nomination this year. He won't get it, but it's definitely worthy. I mean, he's fucking British, for God's sake. A lot of these movies I've actually already talked about, so I'll kind of have them pinned up in the corner there. So I do have a video on Come On, Come On. Regardless, Come On, Come On is one of my favorite movies of the year. At number 9, looking good. Let's go to number 8. Luca, Pixar's Luca. Y'all fucking gaslighted me. All I heard leading up to this movie was how it was mid and it was lesser Pixar and it wasn't that good. It was like okay, and I watched it and I damn near cried and all my friends fucking cried as well. This movie's great. Like this movie's like actually like fucking fantastic. And I did a movie. No, what? I did a video in the middle of the year saying what are my top 10 movies of the year so far, and Luca was number 2 at that time. And fast forward all the way now in January, and Luca is still in my top 10. It is that good to me. I fucking loved it. I love how it's a short, basically 90-minute movie. It's not like insane stakes where like people are gonna fucking die. It was just lovely and charming and funny. And there's still like a sense of like wonder and like being a kid in the ending. Shut the fuck up. The score, which I'm pissed it wasn't shortlisted at the Oscars. I don't know how that happens. The score is just beautiful, like one of the best. I mean, Luca is fire. Okay, it is a top 10 Pixar movie of all time for me. Shut up, I don't care. Luca, I honestly could put higher, but I'm keeping it at number 8. It might change as most of my top 10 list does, especially as time goes on. But for now, Luca is comfortably at number 8. Let's move to number 7. Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson. This movie has had a bit of discourse throughout, and I say a bit. I'm probably underestimating how much discourse there is. I thought this movie was oddly endearing and charming and has a good energy to it, and I don't know, I kind of fell into it, honestly. Yeah, it's slice of life and shit like that, but there's something about this movie, like with the Paul Thomas Anderson, where I watch it and I just feel like something about it feels different to me, and I can't really explain why. Once again, I did a whole video on this, so maybe I articulate it better then, but I loved it. Honestly, I really like Licorice Pizza. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll feel it a little bit differently. I don't know. Maybe I'll like it more. Maybe I'll like it less. But Licorice Pizza, that shit was one of the best of the year. And Bradley Cooper in that movie, happy birthday. I'm recording this on Bradley Cooper's birthday. I don't really understand what people are saying. Like, I know he has short screen time. I cannot stop thinking about his performance on Licorice Pizza. It is one of the funniest things I've seen all year. He's so chaotic and unhinged. Just that sentence alone, like, hey, 8 minutes of unhinged Bradley Cooper, or you can have, with all due respect, the Belfast Boys here. I'm taking Bradley Cooper. I don't know about you guys. I'm taking Bradley Cooper. That's a subject for another video. But Licorice Pizza, number 7, looking good. Let's move on. The worst person in the world. So a bit ago, I actually tweeted, if I don't see the worst person in the world, I am going to become the worst person in the world. Thankfully, I did end up managing to see it, and now I am a happy boy. I'm a happy person because the worst person in the world was just lovely. I love Frances Ha, the Noah Baumbach movie starring Greta Gerwig. I love that movie, and this movie definitely gives that same feel, but better in my opinion. And with those movies, I'm always, excited to kind of revisit them, especially as I grow older and just maybe resonate with some things there. But just seeing a person either make some dumb decisions in their life, but to them, it's not a dumb decision. It's very real, and they're doing it for a reason. I mean, obviously, there's a reason why we all look back at ourselves and just fucking cringe with what we did back then. We're like, how the fuck could we be so stupid to make whatever decision we did? But in the heat of the moment, it doesn't feel like a dumb decision. So I think that is what kind of resonates with me the most about this movie. Obviously, I think the script and performances are fantastic, like everyone else says, but I think that's what really sticks with me. So the worst person in the world at number 6 could be higher, to be honest. Keep going. Top 5. Drive My Car. This is my 3rd international film on my top 10 movies of the year. Okay, so I just had to put that out there. I just kind of flex. No, but Drive My Car, Japan's official submission to the Oscars, is a 3-hour patient, really just dialogue-driven movie. And I was kind of nervous to watch this movie. I feel like I said this in the other video before, but I was nervous to watch it because at home, my attention span significantly decreases versus when I'm in a theater. And this is 3 hours long, and I've heard it's very patient, it takes its time. And all that is true. And yet I was completely captivated like the whole time. It's paced so well. Honestly, the 3 hours kind of flew by. And there are some monologues in here. Obviously the acting is great, but there's some monologues in here that truly like linger in your mind, and some scenes and its take on grief, and even like just a creative process as well. I like, this is one of those movies where I give it X amount of stars, right? And I can't stop thinking about it. And then I just up the stars, and then I watched again, and then all of a sudden it's like a 5-star movie. This one could absolutely do that. Like I've said already, my top 10 list changes all the time. And Drive My Car is one that maybe if I rewatch it again, it could be like a top 3 movie for me. I really love Drive My Car. I still am thinking about it, and it could absolutely be higher like tomorrow. So Drive My Car in at number 5 almost seems low, but we'll keep going. West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg, Arizona's own. No one really saw this movie. That kind of makes me sad, but I thought this movie was genuinely amazing. And I say that as someone who is not a musical guy, but from the opening shot of this amazing crane, like oneer, from what I remember, I was like, holy fuck. I really said that in my head. I was like, holy fuck. Like, Steven Spielberg, I said he's wanted to make this movie for years, and I feel like you can definitely see it, because I feel like there's so much like love in this movie. And I know that's kind of cringy to say, and I say this as someone who is not even huge on the original West Side Story. Obviously it is, that original West Side Story is pretty dated, but, and I know this isn't a remake, this is an adaptation of the musical. You know what I fucking mean. Regardless, the performances are great for the most part, and I really don't like saying this cringy shit, but there's actual like magic in this movie. Like there's some scenes where I was like, oh my god, like I'm so happy I'm in a theater watching this right now. And West Side Story does that for me. Honestly, I could put West Side Story at number 2 if I really wanted. Like, and maybe upon a rewatch, who fucking knows? I've done too much thinking about this list that I need to just make this video and get it out here. So for now, West Side Story at number 4. Let's keep going. Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. It is top 3 time. And Dune is a movie that pretty much as soon as I saw it, it just keeps growing in my mind. I've seen it now 3 times. All of them have been in the theater, which I have to say is just adds to the experience for sure. The more I think about it, just the more I'm impressed with Dune. Yes, on a technical level, and that is impressive as well. But I'm not one where if a movie really impresses me on it technically, that doesn't mean I just put it in my top 10. Like 1917, completely mid movie for me, even though I can admit the technical lows are fucking fantastic. But Dune does something that, you know, not that I'm comparing the two, but like that 1917 did it for me. And one is that I actually cared. Like, I actually cared about Dune. The world building, political warfare, and drama are the best parts to me. Yeah, there's some cool action scenes, and you know, a lot of it is insanely impressive in the way it weaves practical effects and visual effects. At the end of the day, I wanted to be in that world, and I want to stay there. And this, like, immediately, everyone recognizes that this could be like one of the best sci-fi franchises like of all time. Like this movie came out, and everyone's like, yeah, like for the most part. And I completely agree. The reason this movie is not higher on my list is because it, like, let's face it, it is still a part 1. So it is a little incomplete, which some people are like, you can't hold that against the movie. Bitch, I just did. And I'm just insanely interested to see where this goes because I haven't read the book. So this is my introduction to it. And Denis Villeneuve, fucking master at the helm. What more do you want? Dune at number 3 could be higher, honestly. Let's get to the controversial pick here. Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, give me a second to talk about this, all right? Not that I need to defend myself for my own top 10 list, but let me defend myself anyways. Like I said earlier, my list is based off of personal enjoyment. I cannot separate how I feel about Spider-Man when watching this movie, okay? Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi one, is not the first movie I've ever seen, but I will say it's probably the first movie I remember seeing. And while I've certainly liked the Homecoming and Far From Home movies, I certainly like them and I enjoy them. I think they're very entertaining. I'll admit there are some parts of Spider-Man, like, that I consider like core parts of Spider-Man that were probably missing from the MCU version. And this movie rectified that in a way that is hard to explain. In a movie with a multiverse and Doctor Strange and other villains from other people's universes, and I said this in my review for it, it manages to feel the most Spider-Man movie in the MCU. And especially the ending. I mean, genuinely, I'm so excited to see where this goes now. Like, yes, it's nostalgic, and I'm sure people are just gonna throw that like, oh, it's just nostalgia is why everyone likes it. That's bullshit to me. This movie was like pretty good, and then when it gets to the apartment scene, it like levels up because the tone completely shifts, right? One, the fighting is like finally some like good like hand-to-hand combat, like Spider-Man fighting that I fucking love. I thought the acting performances were genuinely good. Like almost everyone in this movie could have just phoned it in and gotten a paycheck, and maybe you could say some of them did, but a lot of them really didn't. This is like Tom Holland's like best performance to me. I know people are gonna throw The Impossible out. Trust me, like I said what I said. Willem Dafoe fucking cooking as the Green Goblin. I cannot believe how fucking good he is in this. And then everyone else, I thought it was so good, dude. I can't separate my feelings from it. It's actually like emotional, and they let it breathe, and they let the emotion like sink in, and that is when I was like, Jesus, like that is fucking Peter Parker right here. I don't want to spend too much time talking about fucking Spider-Man, but honestly, guys, the way this movie makes me feel, and it made me feel in the theater, I can't separate that. I have to take that into account when I'm making these top 10 lists. And goddamn, I'm fucking cheesing right now. The last thing I'll say about Spider-Man No Way Home is, I fully admit, a lot of these movies on my list, they're probably better made movies than Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, for sure. Like Dune is seriously like one of the most impressive like just made movies I've seen like all year and maybe in a couple years. Same with West Side Story, The Power of the Dog, which didn't even make my list. All those movies, like I grant that. But at the end of the day, what do I want to see? What do I want to see? I have to take that into account. And when I do that, fucking Spider-Man, it's there. I'm going to give a spoiler for Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you don't want to hear it, skip forward about 10 seconds. I know a lot of people are going to throw that argument at me. It's like, this isn't like a well-made movie. You just love the nostalgia. How many Spider-Man are in your movie, huh? I got 3. So Spider-Man No Way Home sits at number 2. Fuck off. Let's go to my number 1. Yeah, come on. I mean, everyone on my channel knows it's Mass. This movie has been my number 1 since I saw it, like in January or February. I don't even remember when I saw it. It has been number 1 since then, and it's the end of the year, and it's still number 1. I still think about this movie, and it hurts me so much that it probably won't get a lot of love at the Oscars, if any at all. It is the most emotional movie I've seen this year. It is the best acted movie I've seen this year. One of the best scripts I've seen this year. I think it's edited fantastic. I mean, it makes me so sad. There are scenes in this movie that I just can't shake out of my head, and just like powerhouse performances, dude. I cannot believe, like, how are people not gonna recognize this, dude? I don't understand it. Mass is my favorite movie of 2021, and honestly, it wasn't a hard decision at all. And that's my list. That is my top 10. You're looking at it right now. Honestly, like I've said, I thought 2021 was kind of like a mid-year for movies. That might be unpopular opinion. Obviously, there are plenty of movies I like, which you just heard right now. But overall, I thought it was kind of mid. I hope 2022 is a little better, just for me personally. I'm only speaking for myself here. But let me know what your guys' top 10 is and how much you hate Spider-Man No Way Home or love it. I don't know. Don't bully me. But yeah, like I said, looking forward to 2022. And hopefully the Kissing Booth 4 comes out.